Signs are posted in proximity to.
Hello, Miranda.
You're muted. She muted on our side?
There she is. There you go.
Third time's a charm, I said. All right.
Yay.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Maybe that's why no one else is here.
Nobody else is
I
there?
don't know. I expect to get something.
I mean, you log in and it says it's the one for the zoning, I think. And it says it's for 2 days ago. Was the link that I had was for March 18th, the Planning and Zoning Commission.
That's really weird and very wrong. That's great. Excellent. I don't know what happens there. I'll have to check that with Sandy. In the morning.
Miranda, we were just talking about our easement visit on Saturday to a 7 or 8 small easements all along Fieldstone Drive.
Okay.
And just didn't really see much there, but talking about like maybe a follow-up letter to owners just about, you know, that they have this boundary in the back, if they're going to do anything to check in with the town before they do anything. And then I don't know if you're at a meeting where we talked about that the town has this area 50 feet from wetlands and watercourses that is kind of a natural vegetation shouldn't be affected. So, you know, just checking in with people about that or any potential violations they may have as a follow-up letter after our visits.
Sounds like a good idea.
Always good to do more education, given that people really don't understand the rules regarding trees, land, lots of things. That's been the whole theme of mine today. But.
And Michael, I mean, if they want to talk about it or have somebody come out, I mean, maybe us as the commission can also do that follow-up, because I think the relationship, like you're talking about, is an important thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
You can do it, but you got a lot. We could always, if they want to meet on a Saturday or something, we can go back out.
Yeah.
If you guys are comfortable with that to
definitely
spread out the work.
Always happy to. Did you see that the markers were adequately marked while you were out there in general? Those were still in place? Or
I mean, they were a little.
I put no, I think, on most of the just because like we didn't even check like the other, like we didn't cross the wetlands to check the backside. And I mean
they were sporadic.
I guess. We just put it more.
Yeah, right there.
Cool. But is there any follow-up
fine now
on this? Because other properties we visited in the past were unmarked. Some were unmarked completely. So I don't know whether there's any recourse or follow-up on any of this.
Well, we hang signs when we go out.
Well, one was not marked at all. So I think we had...
I think you followed up.
I followed up with that property owner.
Yeah.
That one I followed up with on the town time, went out, explained the situation, provided a map, provided copies of the conservation easement boundary sign, and that gentleman was exploring a housing addition, and so was also thinking about getting that boundary resurveyed. And so at that point, it would be easy to mark the interior, because the one along the road is very easy. It follows the curve of the road, but the actual exact place on his the dividing line between his lawn and the protected wooded section was less clear. So I should check in with him. So it's been a couple months since I heard from him.
You about to say something, Chad?
That was the one where going to the town, there was a house actually on the easement.
Yes, that is fortunately not the case. After further investigation.
That was the one I remember where we didn't want to put any signs up because we had no idea.
We don't know what is going on here. There's this accordion to the house in the easement.
Right.
There was a sliver, it almost looked like a public access sliver that was an easement on the north side of Fieldstone. And in our GIS, it was like what, 100 feet, 200 feet from the road at least.
Right.
But when you're standing on Fieldstone Road, there were signs like at the edge of asphalt saying Mansfield, you know, conservation easement, no public access. So it was just a little confusing. Like there's two things. One is like, we got to hang signs that are consistent with the usage of that easement. Is it access or no access? And that sign, according to the GIS that we were looking at, didn't seem to correlate to the right location as what we're using.
Most of them are no access. The majority are, and I think one of the columns of that table I sent along, because I think I sent the master list of all our easements after I filed that. I believe it does note whether it's access or no access, and the majority are no. But yeah, we do. I will look at that and see why it does not match the actual field conditions. Okay.
Other than that, it was nice to be out on Bird ID.
Oh, yeah. Brown creepers were singing.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Blind siskins, the barred owl.
I missed the barn.
That's a lovely day.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It was nice. Screaming red-shouldered hawks.
Oh, right.
Beautiful.
Right at the end. Get out of here! Get out of here!
Anything else on our visit, or just our visits in general?
Because of the size, that real thin sliver on the north side, we had a lot of trouble just with using phone level GPS, and we didn't know if maybe through Public Works or engineering or something, if there might be a more of a dedicated GPS kind of a unit that we could use, or just something that we could use to get higher accuracy.
Maybe.
So we've had a lot of difficulties.
So doing this, we haven't used GPS. I mean, handheld GPS is like a Trimble or Garmin or something like that. So
The challenge is that
Well,
that would tell us
Trimble.
where we are, but then the maps that are on our phone, there's the blue dot on the phone. And the blue dot on the phone, one of these was like 15 feet wide. Like
It was really narrow.
you could stand
It's a
there and you
silly-
could be in
silly
and you could be
easement.
out and you could be behind the easement all at this like
It's just within
on
the
a
error,
rolling minute
the error
basis.
of.
And so that was a challenge.
well, I don't know which solution on that, specifically. Other than
I do know
with
that
a Trimble, you can enter GPS way stations and follow along if
Yeah.
you have those and preload those in. So
That's
another option.
Again,
is
the trouble is like, I think we're looking at assessor's lines and not survey. And so sometimes there's the accuracy of the device, and then there's the accuracy of the lines
two
in
together, and it's
the
like-
field map that we're
Yeah.
looking at, and sort of,
there
that's
is
why we're hanging signs conservatively
that word.
We know.
conservatively inside the boundary, because it's hard to kind of feel like we're really standing on the boundary when we're standing somewhere, unless there's like a stone wall or a pin or something obvious. It's kind of hard to.
There are GPS boosters that you could get
Yeah.
to that we could plug into
Like Bad Elf or something.
Bad Elf,
Yeah.
that's it.
What do those get you to?
They have
you get
different models, so I mean, it can get you pretty accurate if you're willing to
like
pay.
3 meters.
And we have Trimble at work, and you can get like
Oh,
sub
yeah,
centimeter,
Trimble's-
but we don't need
We
that.
don't need
We
that.
just need within a couple feet.
because I remember the day where it was all scrambles, you had to use a base station, post correct all of
Right.
things back because they were off by 5 meters, 10 meters.
Yeah. My graduate work was on the tail end of that. So I was radio tracking and doing GPS, and I'd have to go back and
Anyways.
do the corrections, and
I don't know if there's a solution to doing it other than the way you're doing it.
We'll
maybe a Bad Elf or
I'll
something similar to
see
what we
boost
can
GPS on a handheld.
we
I think it's also the town, like, what does the town want? If the town is like, guys, just go out there and look at it and tell me if there's like a Walmart or something. I mean, if that's, we have our
God,
own,
could you
we're all,
imagine the humiliation if we had let a Walmart go up in a conservation easement in the meanwhile?
I just mean like, we're all very data oriented people, but if the town just needs us to take a look and say everything's good, I mean, that's, we can have that conversation too about what level of information or accuracy you want us to pursue.
Absolutely.
I think that, yeah, it's more so about the signing and making sure that we're not too egregious with the signing.
Yeah, that's the signing gets a little like, we spend a lot of time like this tree or that tree, this tree or that tree, because we want
Wait, you're in,
to.
you're out.
It's an important discussion.
Pretty silly. Somebody's watching like, what are you guys
It got to
doing
the
out
point
I
there?
find that my most accurate on this device here is this app called OnX, which is for hunters.
Yeah.
To find boundaries, and it's actually
Oh.
amazingly accurate. I've tried it and compared it with known GPS, coordinates and all of that. So and it's pretty high resolution stuff too. So anyways,
When you can get sued for getting it wrong, it's a really high incentive to have your tools work, right?
it's called OnX.
Yeah, I have it on my phone. Onyx doesn't reflect conservation easements though.
No, it doesn't, but it does tell you.
It tells you parcel.
It does pretty
We'll
well.
build
tell you
our
what
own
you're seeing.
software.
Oh,
There's your get rich quick scheme. Write it down. Easement
Right.
monitoring.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in easement monitoring.
for municipalities, it's a huge market.
Maybe it's more of a slow burn. Get rich slowly.
Get
Yeah, which is, yeah.
get not very rich at the same rate that I am now.
But now we can do it all remotely,
but
right? So
now-
now I
well-
want to hear about this.
So remote monitoring. So
Segue.
this is one of those things that I did some thinking about. Just share here. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to look at with you folks. I stared at maps a lot this past month. Of looking at a couple samples, one that we've done, an easement monitor that we did last year, and then an easement monitor which we haven't done, of what can we tell from the air? Is there even anything of value to tell from the air, or anything that tells us that maybe we need to go look at this more closely? And so the first one I wanted to do was the first one that we did when I came on staff, which was on Monticello, which is here about. So it is, yes.
Miranda, is that where you live, on Monticello?
She's on deep.
Felon.
Felon, which is the next one.
The next, yeah,
As
so.
opposed to Davis, which is nearby, but Miranda
Yeah.
Davis does not
Was
live
this-
on Davis.
Was this the one with the
I really should move.
construction magnet who has the path through the backyard to get over to?
That's actually a different one in a
That's-
similar
yeah.
place.
Okay.
So I just actually was looking on that one, the one that you were just talking about, where there was the path
Yeah.
going through the woods, and
Mhm.
you
mean the
can't
path to the
tell
road?
that it's,
BB.
yeah, you cannot tell that it's there from the Google Maps. I mean, not with any certainty. There's something that maybe could be something, but that's it.
Oh, there it is.
So you can, if you zoom in.
Okay, so yeah, with this you can.
So
You're right.
can-
I was
Yeah.
looking at the vegetated Google Map thing, so.
Does it show the easement boundaries?
It does, roughly, but it does. So this is our 2019 ortho map. I was going to, until 2 weeks ago, I had this beautifully set to have our transition between our 2019 and then 2022 ortho maps. And then the latest ortho map got updated because we got more recent pictures, but they're leafed out. So now, unfortunately,
Yeah.
this is
That's
less
what-
helpful.
Not helpful.
Exactly.
This is a lot less helpful, but
But you still have the other layer,
we
right?
have the 2019 layer.
Right.
And we should be getting our new 2024 aerial soon because they normally fly March, April. So we will get those. So for this, I like to turn down the transparency, and then zoom in and boost it just a little bit so we can see the boundary. Obviously, this is not great and it's a wetlands violation, which is a whole different matter, but just by tweaking this down and up, we can see, yeah, you can see this through here. So major disturbances, definitely something we can detect via aerials.
Can we
So
check
can we check one property that I know is going to be problematic?
Absolutely.
It's on,
I'm sorry, can we check one that we've already been to?
Okay,
So we're not
hang on.
bringing-
So
No, I just
nearby, so nearby to this one, we have Monticello. So if we look at the shape of these easements, it's got to think for a second. It's got to, come on, there we go. So these were these funky easements that have that trail easement running through the middle here. So there are a couple of things as we zoom in. This was the path that fronts on the street, and there is some debris in here.
Yeah.
What I found is small debris, really hard to tell what it is, and if it's a rock or if it's a trash can. We recall that this was a big pile of trash and rocks, and I find that stuff at this scale really indistinguishable from collections of more natural features.
Yeah.
Similarly, I recall from that there was a large rusted out tractor in the woods. And
Mhm.
I have been scrolling around in these woods looking for that. And I cannot find it or any hint of it for the life of me.
So it would seem then this is not going to be that useful.
Well,
Try the hillshade map.
There was another one we went to recently that had some kind of
the-
trackway loop for like, you know, kids four-wheelers or something in the back.
so we do have, there's lots of maps that can be helpful here. We have the hillshade map, so we can see the path of the trail,
Yeah.
right? Honestly, the most important thing to us, the one that we actually found, was where there appears to be a drainage ditch that was redug
Remember
that
one?
goes into here. It does show a little bit on the hillshade. But because of the angle of the shadows, it's really not visible. Now, the good news is the shadow angle has gotten a lot better on the stuff that's been flown since 2021. I've been finding that they are on the newer stuff, which we don't have here, but we will have soon. You can't actually see this drainage ditch, so that promises something. But again, that's more of like a road or a cut in the ground you can see. You can't as much see if stuff is being tossed in there. What we could do is we could hop over to Fieldstone and see if we could see that treehouse,
structure, yeah.
that structure.
Yeah.
Since we were just there, Fieldstone's not that far, right? It is over here. Right.
That's Max Felix. That
Was
Over
this
here.
like a kid's tree house? I don't think I was along for this one.
No, this is the one we just did, Miranda, this past. So
So
yeah,
these were.
I recognize the solar panels on this one.
So this is the scope of this easement, which kind of wraps into some of our town park lands. Do we remember which house it was?
That one. So try the it looks like it's old enough, but it's probably going to be picked up in the hillshade. When was the LiDAR flight here?
This was 2019. This was March 2019.
Yeah, it should be in that one.
Could you turn down the sorry, thanks, Mike.
No worries.
No, it was kind of right on the edge of the boundary that we were like kind of right along that.
It's not
Shaded
it's
edge.
not very big.
Yeah. Maybe the aerial would be better.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be in the aerial. That's it right there. And you can see it on the hillshade too.
Enhance.
Make it big. That's it. And then if you run it,
wait,
I would
Can
never
you-
be able to pick
wait,
that out
can you
though,
go
but I
to
know
the
it's there.
aerial again, Mike?
Yep.
I'm sorry. You can see a structure there.
yeah, you can see.
I mean, it kind of looks like something, but if you just know it was there.
Actually seeing the shadow of it.
Yeah, that right
Yeah, I
angle
would pick
is.
that out without
I'm not sure.
No.
Let's take a look at one where we will see it. Okay.
Sure.
Let's go up to North Eagle Road just as it crosses. Searsville Brook.
Let's just jump up to
The other thing we won't be able to see on this is some of the evidence that we found in the past of like baiting and tree stands and stuff in areas they weren't supposed to be.
Where's?
So we're on North Eagleville now. We're at the intersection
Sorry,
of
no,
Hunting
I
Lodge.
didn't mean North Eagle. I meant Hunting Lodge.
Well, we are on Hunting Lodge now.
Right. Oh, yeah.
All the way up Hunting Lodge, past the complexes and the complexes and the complexes. Now we're at the old elementary school.
So it's this part of the easement here. Right. So yeah, take off the
Reducing the transparency.
so all of this is on the property. You can see this, and now it's filled up with, I don't know, trailers and dumps and all of that sort of stuff.
Yep, so
So there's
that-
an old car over here.
This is, I've seen that old car when I've walked through the woods there. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
He thinks he owns all of this cleared area here, so.
Yeah, people don't think so.
Anyway, so that's.
But this is something we can clearly.
You can clearly see that. I just wanted to.
Vehicles, much easier to see. Roads, much easier to see.
Clubhouses.
Clubhouses.
Chad can see
A little
it.
bit
Yeah.
harder to see. Well, Chad, that seems like you should be doing our remote monitoring.
Yeah.
So you can see the clubhouse.
Nominated us. Chief.
Let's say,
I just hang signs.
No, not more.
That-
You've been promoted.
But
Drop
It
trees.
also helps not to have trees there.
it does. It does a little bit when there aren't trees in our conservation easement.
Then they think they own that. So
Yeah, it's
Anyway, so.
imperfect. The last thing though that I did want to do is because I was zipping around so much, I found something that I think could be for our next easement monitor. Because I look over here on South Eagleville and I see this long driveway to the side here. And the way it's done, it looks like the driveway, and this can't be, right?
Yes.
This can't possibly be the situation.
It used to be here.
Driveway,
I bet if you look at the hillshade, it used to be there. They rerouted the driveway.
They just rerouted it?
Mhm.
Through-
Yeah, you just get a bulldozer out
To
and
go
just
to the
come
east.
up my road over
Maybe
here.
not.
I own the land.
look at it. Oh, no, the elevation map is very unhappy with me.
Maybe not. But it looked
But
like there was some vegetation.
This does look like it was a path. And so this to me is something that I'm very interested in doing the background research on. If we want to do a monitor in early April,
Sure.
I can figure out what might have happened here because this doesn't, either we have a situation where the house in the easement is just an inaccurate GIS layer, or we have a problem.
So you're gonna figure out if there's a problem here or if it's something to go check out.
Yeah,
Great. I like the system.
cool. I think that as we can see, we can't tell what the way that we actually have our signs hung is from this. And the small stuff, the small garbage, we really can't tell.
But this will be useful as a to give us a warning beforehand that, we looked at this and this shouldn't be here, but let's go out and take a
Almost
look
looks
at
like
it.
they have
Pre-screening tool.
parking on the side of the road there. So I don't know if there's a larger cleared area where that
Yeah,
garage is located.
I mean, then of course, so this is that house on the corner of
Oh, yeah.
with the large standing terminal. This is Dunham Pond. So I'm gonna figure out what's going on with that. Yeah.
Does this Access GIS requires a login?
This is our public one.
That's a public.
This is publicly facing. So the only thing that is staff locked is we have some further wetlands information. And the latest ortho map
Which isn't gonna be out.
which is not all that helpful right now because it's set to summer. This one is invisible because our relationship with Nearmap is complicated. So we only get a single one of those and it's staff locked. But the 2019 statewide aerials, those are available. And I find those are the most helpful. We also have other imagery. Esri provides us with some standard layers. And we have, as you noted, we have the shade relief, hill shade, elevation maps. So, and all of the state maps going all the way back to 1990. And the 1934 maps, which are incredibly blurry, but are kind of cool to look at.
Yeah.
Michael, I would just say we are working on behalf of the town entirely. So in terms of access to Nearmap, I understand we're not staff, but
Nearmap is,
if they are able to understand we're working on behalf of.
So this
I don't know if that
parcel
makes
right
any
here,
sense.
Tracy and I bought in 2022.
Oh,
Right,
is that your?
that's us. So if you turn on the,
it is you. It says Rittenhouse Chadwick D.
that's me.
That's me.
That's me. So if you turn on the the hillshade map,
Hillshade man.
you might-
It's thinking I asked it to do a lot. Oh,
That's a foundation.
yep.
And
And
these
these
are stone
used to
walls.
be, yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
it can, the hillshade has been really helpful in terms of trying to find features.
There's no easement on it, Chad.
No, but we touch a town easement right there.
Mm.
So you say you don't have all of the town wetlands? So any
No, so-
surveys or what you said, something was locked or?
So the NWI wetland data, which I have not
That's public
fully,
elsewhere.
which I have not fully explored, is staff locked, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Proprietary information.
I don't know why. But that's the only staff log layer we have. Pretty much everything that we have on Axis is available. The most recent one we put is we put all of our trails on here. So if you zoom out, you know, this is a real colorful thing right now because of open space, but all our open space information is out there. And then
Can you turn off the lot lines for a
I
second?
didn't realize you had all these layers. I mean, I usually just went to the separate DEP or library to get up all these other layers.
Cool.
I just looked at them.
Were the trails differentiated, like whose trails they are
Yep.
or something?
So if we take off that and we just see, so if you go to our trails maps, you can see the trails in each preserve, as well as the Nipmuc here is in green, which I want to talk to them about fixing because it should really be in blue, since that's like the whole thing. But no, so that's not publicly available. And all this is just out there, and it's just sitting on our website, not loudly being screamed from the rooftops, but it's a great public resource. This has all of our information. I answered someone's question about utilities, and the sewer service area was
There's stormwater on here?
something that was interesting. So with regards to what? Drainage?
Yeah, like pipes and catch basins.
Yep. So we have yard basins, catch basins,
Not a lot of
drains, end walls,
Most of-
ditches.
This is all very gratifying coming from someone who years ago said the town needs a GIS presence here, you know, so that we can actually do something.
We got one.
I know, so I'm, you know, a number of years later, I'm very gratified to see that we actually have all of this. These data.
Really good, and this isn't counting some of the stuff we're doing in prep for the 2025 Planner Conservation Development, which we're going out to bid for that relatively soon because we have to have it done by late 2025 per statute. And we've already started doing a lot of the background work for that Northwest Neighborhood Plan that we're doing. So there's a lot of good work being done already, and we'll be coming to you when it comes time to update the conservation chapters. The land use chapter will particularly come to you for what needs to be updated, what has changed. Future land use will lean heavily on you for what areas are priority for conservation.
Because we advise to planning and zoning and wetlands, it seems like most of the document comes to us, I guess.
Yep. Very much so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have something to check in on for a future easement monitor. I'm sure, John, because I know she lives in the area. If I talk to Jennifer about that particular property, she will also be able to tell me some of the backstory.
I think that one might have a, what's the list for planning when you're on the naughty list for planning?
A violation?
I think that property is already on the radar.
It's filled with, shall we say.
There is a hunting lodge property, and I was tootling around just to see. I think it's that one, or it might be the one just north.
There's nothing messier than what is on that property there. So
There's a few.
Yeah, there are others.
You don't know this
Like,
I gotta go compare.
Like, where did you see that?
Planning and zoning.
Oh, in their notes?
In their minutes. I looked
there was stuff on the easement area at the time it was established, because I sort of was involved in its establishment back, 30 years ago. So
can you unselect my property? I think it's.
I can. Yeah, we don't have to keep advertising that. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's definitely.
I mean, it's already public record.
Go on there, Laura.
Log it.
Right. So I mean, this is publicly available, and so I mean, ultimately, what we can do is we can just cross-reference that list with all of the searchable ones on here, and if you ever, I know no one is really, free in terms of time, but if you're thinking about what you can do next, you can browse through and just look at them from the air and say, hey, I saw this one.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to keep doing that as I try to identify us, so we keep doing it at least once a month.
We have a meeting where.
Problem, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I say?
No, I said when you see. I just wanted to know what for pre-screening. In other words, if like this property that I mentioned, I have an interest in this partly because I am further down the line on that boundary, and I know there's a problem on that particular property. So,
but if we have pre-screening, this is the perfect opportunity to go. We know there's a problem with conservation.
I don't want to I don't want to have any interaction with the owner, which
It's fine, you don't have to go to the monitor.
which could be unpleasant, shall we say, so,
For stuff like that, where there is anticipated hostility, that is where town staff is paid to deal with that, so we will.
fine.
You
So
don't get
that-
paid enough to do this.
No, we don't.
This is a warning on that one, that's.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was.
Michael, you might, if we have a meeting where more folks attend, we might want to walk it through again.
I'd love to.
So I know some folks don't come to the on-site monitoring, but this could be a way if they're interested to do, kind of this desktop review and then inform the field effort. So
Absolutely.
that's good. That really, it's gonna really accelerate things around here.
I'm trying. We're
It's
gonna
not just
try
you,
to.
it's us too, just trying to.
It's not overpromising.
I'd be happy to know we're getting 2 more easements. So
great.
when we accept them, they agreed to accept those back in 2022.
Are they like rectangular or
One of them's
square,
rectangular.
or no?
One of them's at the front of
What is
someone's
the other
property.
one?
One of them is just a small strip along the road, which provides about a 50-foot screen of natural vegetation from the road for someone's house.
And when were the Fieldstone ones created? Because that, I have a follow-up, but roughly
When I want to say
80s,
the late 80s or early 90s.
So the geometry, some of them is, number one, the geometry is extremely hard to monitor. And then number two, and I think Jennifer knows this and now PNRC knows it too. They used to be the Open Space Committee. Like, it doesn't make sense to put easements necessarily on top of wetlands. Like,
yes,
they're just letting the developer kind of get away with double dipping or whatever you want to call it. So
yes,
I think that's all been improved a lot in recent years.
I can speak to that actually. I'm just going to go back to sharing screen real quick because I do want to talk about that because that's kind of important to us. Is over here on the old golf course property. So this is hypothetically in the process of being developed. And we remember when that one was before us. The original easement that they proposed was something along the edge of the wetlands here.
Can you turn wetlands on? Do you mind?
Yeah. Again, please remember this is the incredibly coarse map. I don't do all of my work off of this wetlands map.
This is Grant's old work.
This is the state map. So this is based on the state soil types layers. Yeah. So this is poorly drained, very poorly drained alluvial. And of course that is at a very coarse acreage. So if you zoom in, you can see things that don't make sense.
Some of these also have superimposed on then the town wetlands, some of which have been mapped, or were surveyed. So those presumably are available on surveyed.
Those are, but they didn't all. Something that we really need to do now is we need to take, when we have a new resurvey of boundaries, we need to get from the surveyor the layers and then send them to give us accurate maps, because that has not been historical record, but that is the right way to do it. But originally, it was basically this boundary. But I'm not in favor of that because that land's already protected anyway. I'm not going to let you touch it. So instead, the donation is the entirety of this back parcel and the majority of these 2 parcels, which includes a lot of uplands. And these narrower wetlands forks, hypothetically, the Parks and Natural Resources Committee at one point noted that it might be possible, because there's already some trails in here, to create a boardwalk and connect Wrenwood with this complex and over to Cedar Swamp Road, which would be good for footpath connectivity. The town owns this piece, so now we have a big solid chunk of preserved open space, and that's kind of and it's almost rectangular, so it's much easier to monitor going forward. We're learning.
Great.
Yes.
Not a 15-foot sliver.
Not a 15-foot sliver. We're not going to do those anymore.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's great. Cool. Excellent. So we'll potentially have a visit in April.
Yeah.
I have 2 Saturdays in April that I know are already off the book.
I better get it on his calendar then. Unless you don't.
So yeah, I'm just trying to say I don't want to go. Um,
Just say.
no, I do want to go. But the
Tag sales on the 27th. Totally
tax
accurate.
sales on the 27th. Yeah, I 6th and the 20th, definitely the 20th, and maybe the 6th, or the 13th. So 13th would work for me, I think. But even that's debatable. I don't know what other people.
13th I can do until 12:30. I'd have to leave at 12:30 because I have Girl Scouts.
I think I could do it. I know I have a meeting, but I think it's later. That's the
As long as we have
trust anyway.
3 people is the minimum. 4 is really great because you can kind of split up and do a little bit of 2 different things and still keep checking the boundary.
I will plan for sometime on 13th on the morning, but I'll create a rain date as well, and I'll send a when to meet, which, by the way, has revolutionized my meetings. It's such a better platform than Doodle. It's so much better than Doodle. It's terrible, and it has so many fewer ads than Doodle. So
if we can aim for like 10 a.m. instead of 11 or whatever, I'll be able to invest more time.
Yeah, in general, if we could do
go earlier
or 10, that's my preference.
Can do.
I don't know if neighbors want to hear us yelling in their backyard. So.
Noise ordinance is 7, I think, so you're probably fine. You're a lot less loud than someone mowing their lawn. So.
Okay, awesome.
The only remaining thing I had to speak to you about was in terms of my agent report.
What about the sustainable?
Sustainability there.
Oh, we do. We have sustainable CT. So sustainable CT, this is just kind of a standing thing to discuss. 2025 is we're going to go for a recertification because it's a rolling 3-year cert. They've added a new higher certification classification. Silver used to be the highest, but we here in Mansfield are overachievers. So we're aiming for the highest possible certification. We're aiming for that gold certification.
So what does this cover? What aspects of?
It's a great question. So
I didn't mean, we're trying to keep a short meeting here, but I don't want to.
So what I can do is I can send out to all of
Yeah,
you.
you send out like when we were recertifying.
So does this, for instance, cover planning and zoning? I only ask that because a number of developers come in here that don't seem to be all that sustainable in terms of things they propose. Whereas the university here has all sorts of, if you want anything sustainable, building, impervious services, all this sort of stuff, they have it all golden. But I know a lot of developers don't seem to really have much interest in doing other than the very minimum.
Well, while we do not have a whole bunch of new developers for private land coming in to do their LEED certified private residential halls, we do have the first net zero school in Connecticut, which has been a struggle in certain ways to get running, and I still have basins I have to inspect. But the school itself is excellent for energy.
Oh yes, I went through and did the whole tour. I was thinking more about the standard and the other 2 projects that are sort of in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I just sort of. We don't need to discuss it other than. I thought they could do a better job on sustainability than what they ended up doing. So let's just leave it at that.
Noted. But we've pre-identified a couple of tasks that we think might be helpful. And what I will do is I will send an email out with these to you all. This is for next year, right? This is the certification is for next year. The most critical thing is cataloging this stuff. The town does a ton of stuff in all of our activities that probably qualifies us for these points, because it's basically you need to hit a minimum threshold with a much higher number of points available than our qualification threshold. But we need to prove that we're doing things. So the big thing is I will send out the tasks we pre-identified. I'll send out how to get to the main list and what we think we already have done from last time versus what may be new. And just this is the point of the process where we just start thinking about what do we regularly do that we didn't sign off on before? I know several people here lead walks and educational talks, and sometimes only one person shows up, but we lead them anyway. And so that's the kind of event, that's an outreach and education event that can matter for earning some of these points. So just start thinking about what things do we do, and then what could be the seed of an idea of something we want to run, right? We have time to sequester resources and plan to put together some of these events. And if it happens to gain us you know, some of these points, that's good as well. So I will send that out to you tomorrow to start thinking about over the weekend. Yes.
So it's kind of some, oh no, just like categories of where to think about these things.
So yeah, so Sustainable CD breaks this out, just to really quickly pull this up, because I know we want a short meeting. So Sustainable CT, we're going to share it one more time. Sustainable CT breaks out the way that this is classified into several different categories. So basically, it's not just environmental sustainability. It is also about kind of planning and equity and all of those things that make you have a productive, thriving community. Now, while we definitely have a lot to do with the well-stewarded land natural resource, what you can do is you can go in here and you can look at providing watershed education. What does this actually entail, right? Okay. As a resident or business owner, this person could do something that can gain us points, or implementing signage programs about watersheds could gain us points. I know that there's been a lot of talk about the Cedar Swamp Brook watershed with regards to all of the development that is going on right around it. And so whether or not that could be the impetus for getting people together to start putting up design some signage, put it up, provide some education, work with the town. Because while the town will be the ones who are cataloging this, citizen-run activities that we just kind of know about and that they provide us information for count too. So it doesn't have to be town-driven.
There's no funding.
So then things like the towns, like there's a Buy Nothing site in town. Well, is that something that would
potentially? I don't know what we did before because I wasn't here 2 years ago when we recertified. But entirely possible. So I'm going to get the list of what we've already done from Ginny, who our recycling coordinator, who really takes the lead on this. This has to think that could be good for the commission, just generally speaking. And yeah, I will send all that out to you. And then look for stuff that you know is good and see how it slots into this. I don't love their website. I think that the pop-out boxes are a little bit unintuitive at times, but there's an awful lot of potential things that we can classify the things that we're doing as.
There, number 3.8. These would be something that needed to be implemented by the zoning commission, right?
Well, we do.
Well, but as I said, when the Standard and the others came in, they were pretty weak on that.
Yeah, there's another conversation there about how modeling is used to demonstrate that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing for stormwater management, but I have my own opinion of how modeling allows for certain design and just, yeah.
Exactly. So, but, it seems to me a little bit more could be done on.
Yeah.
But, for this is a template, right? This is a template for us to think about what we've done. And if we want to design projects in the future, this can serve as idea sparking for, we really do need to improve on this. We should do a project related to this, and we'll get points towards our certification, because the certification is really not the goal. The goal is to do good things for the town, and then in doing enough good things, get a certificate. Hypothetically, you shouldn't just chase the shiny metal.
On there that you are responsible for is 50-foot setback, and I think that should give us a number of points.
I would certainly hope that it does. I would certainly hope that I get to put that on there and put my little feather in the cap of this crown for us.
Michael, that reminds me of the moratorium and the revised regs. Is that something we'll get to see at some point? I think maybe we talked about that.
So our the moratorium. So just on this, we have the draft of our revised regs for multifamily housing came in at our last reg review meeting. I don't know if that happened since our most recent ConsCom meeting, or if I mentioned this at the end of February meeting, because it all just kind of blends together in my head. But essentially, the general design of what the new multifamily housing will look like is and this was presented very preliminarily to the Planning and Zoning Commission at not the 318 meeting, but the previous one, the 3-4 meeting, is that there will be a floating zone. So instead of we allow multifamily housing in zones in town, multifamily housing is by default disallowed in zones in town. Then what you have to do instead is you have to land the zone. So you eventually create a zone where we have specific qualifications for what pieces of land may be suitable for this zone. The developer comes in and argues that this piece of land is suitable for multifamily housing. And then there is a discussion about should this be suitable based on our patterns of development and natural landscape features. That happens before wetlands.
I guess my question was, do we get any input on the new drafted?
Yes.
Okay.
So I will reach out to.
And while we're actually on this, there was a meeting of Planning and Zoning on Monday in which they discussed what plans could be done for the northwest section of town. Now, if anyone is particularly interested in that, now's the time for them to weigh in. You can go and look at the recording for that, but I know there's some action in the background that's going to address some of the issues that were raised, or questions that were raised, or questions unsettled from that meeting.
I've been one of my non-conservation related things I've been doing for that is I've been crunching all the numbers and making the maps for change in rental units over time and where they're popping up and density of rental. Which is a big thing for people. So I will. Yes, definitely. If you have thoughts about the Northwest Mansfield area, feel free to come down to my office. I can answer questions or just bring your thoughts online. But yeah, I'll make sure that I send the draft of the regs to you. They're still rough because the moratorium goes until August.
Well, when whoever is working on it or you feel like it's the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's now, that's great. If it's later, that's okay.
No, I think it's the thing that concerns me about it, not concerns as in I have problems, but concerns as in my wheelhouse is how does landing the zone before going to wetlands change the process? Because essentially you'll still have to do a site plan approval after wetlands, but you put all of the discussions of is it appropriate to have housing in a location before you bring it to wetlands and prove that you can physically create
That's an excellent point.
The site. So how does that really change the dynamic and what should be considered at planning and zoning related to environmental concerns?
You can expand that to NDDB and having an NDDB review on that site before even deciding if it's worth
right. As you've got a sensitive site, why would it be suitable for multifamily? But it will restrict the things that come from out of left field. I think we never could assume that this would be multifamily, where now nothing is assumed to be that. You kind of have to prove the need and the worthwhile. So cool. I will send those to you. I think we're supposed to have incorporated comments back from the first time it went to PZC from just very rough. Here's our general thoughts. So I will talk to Jennifer about when we're going to formally refer it out to our subcommittees, but I'll see if I can't get you that draft for April. Okay, I got lots of stuff to send to you. This will be fun.
Any new business? I have nothing listed here under new business. Any reports from members?
I was at the the parks meeting last night and they have a bunch of different stuff going on. I was also online though for that one, so it was kind of hard to check in at some points, but a lot of the discussion had to do with ADA reports on how accessible our various parks are, and so they're trying to explore ways to improve that in the future and things like that. Yeah. Trying to see what else. Also looking at management plans and getting them in line with some of what's being done in adjacent Joshua's Trust properties. And looking at having some kind of a story map for the history of the parks in the area based on Vicki Weatherall's document that she put together. So that's what happened yesterday.
Is that a book, Miranda, or a book? How is
No,
that?
it's like she put together a 50+ page document that just said that's the history of open space in Mansfield and how they started to acquire the different spaces.
How does one get? How does somebody get that to read it?
Well, I can.
It's going to be made public access, I think. So by asking Michael, I would guess.
Another thing.
Vicki's. Yep. No, I mean that's what
it's really interesting. She did a ton of work pulling it together. It's an amazing resource, and Michael suggested putting it on some kind of a story map, which is a great idea.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's always good to have a document, but I think also, you know, visually being able to see what we acquire over time is helpful. So yeah, there's one last round of comments she's incorporating, but I will send you the semi-final draft.
Until she feels ready to share, but that could help anybody giving walks or just engage people more.
It's just an absolute gold mine of information that she's pulled together. It's incredible.
So yeah, that's
exciting.
Really good document. And I've only signed myself up for lots more work by saying I'll make that story map. So
I was gonna say, who's making it?
You know who it is. It's me.
And this is all public access.
Yep, it's all going to live on
any of the conservation easements.
No, this is our 25 parks and the various preserved agricultural easements, some of which are access, some of which are not. So all that will be detailed. My agent report's in there if anyone has questions.
Sorry?
My agent report is in there if anyone has questions on the one permit I've signed in the last. It's been an unusually slow month until the last couple of days. I got 5 wetlands applications as of last Thursday, but before that I had 1 in a month and a half, and that was after the insanity of all the big applications. So weird tempo of people applying for things.
I know fines or other things for, you know, or findings of not, you know, compromising wetlands. And
so the at 1725 Stores Road, so the standard, they've got the coconut matting down now, so they've covered that more intensely with some better fibrous material. They're intending to get conservation seed mix down. So I spoke with the landscape architect and then the wetland scientist about the planting plan. They're gonna increase the density of trees by about 50%, and we're going up from 2 species to 6 in terms of our plantings, and all of that's fine. And so that's going to be done. The one thing that's changing about the plantings is when they are going in. So the original plan was to do all of the trees in April, May. But the thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to risk hitting those trees when that bridge goes in, because the whole reason that this area got cleared in the first place is there's a bridge that's going in, and there was miscommunication on the plans with how much was supposed to be cleared for the bridge. Well, the bridge is slated to go in July because the bridge can't get here until before July because of supply chain and the staggering of the site. And so the plan right now is to get the conservation seed and the understory in up to a certain proximity of the bridge in April, May, and then get the larger plantings in for the end of summer growing season. That's the current thing, but I'm still working on finalizing that with the property owner and their design team. The only new violation of wetlands that I know of, there may be some other things, but the only new violation of wetlands that we're aware of was someone started attempting to put in a whole bunch of new culverts underneath their driveway without talking to us. It was 3 36-inch culverts. I would describe that as a whole bunch of culverts. Yes. So in order to control, this is on Coventry Road.
I was gonna say, is this the one on Coventry?
Yes, this is the one on Coventry Road for the tree farm.
Yeah.
And so I found out about that and stopped the work. The culverts are in the ground. They were in the ground when I got there, and I said, just cover it over and don't touch the stream. So the culverts are in the ground, doing nothing. The stream has not been touched. We are waiting. It's going to require a wetlands application for the rest of that work to occur. So the owner has retained an engineer to do a hydrologic analysis to see if there's going to be any downstream impacts from any increases to water flow capacity through that driveway. It's understandable that they don't want their driveway to wash out, considering there's not really other access to their property. But we need to make sure that neighbors downstream are concerned, and then it goes right into the Willimantic River. So we just want to make sure it's done right. So that's on pause, but fortunately we haven't had the absolute monster rains until this Saturday.
Until this
That we had. So we're gonna see how everything holds up over there. In the meantime, that's what's new in the wetlands world.
Just a quick question about your approval. And when it says they built a retaining wall to hold a failing bank, you just mean like do you mean a stream bank or a bank of earth?
Not a stream bank, a bank of earth. Is that by the general store? Was that where that is? Stores Road?
534.
Yes, so that's a general store. So if you've been down that way, you'll see there's a lot of work being done. The new owner restores historic buildings. And one of the issues is that the northerly part of the general store was collapsing for various reasons. So that kind of, so it needed to be, the bank was destabilized, needed to be held. They put in an engineered block wall. And so that's there, didn't change any of the drainage patterns as near as we can tell based on all the information they provided us. And it seems like everything is flowing as it was flowing before. The drainage is good and works with the otherwise directing roof drainage they put in. So,
you know what they plan to do there?
I believe the plan for the general store, from what they've told us, is 2 to 3 apartments upstairs and then business space downstairs. I think 1 business, and I don't know what business it is because it's too early in the process for them to really be lining up tenants, but commercial space mixed with resident.
A motion to adjourn unless anybody else has anything. Well, I need a motion.
I'll
Make a
motion
to
to
adjourn.
second.
Thank you, Aaron. That's Chad.
Seeing
Good
none
to
opposed.
see you.
Good to see you as well. Wish I could have been in person.
Yeah, maybe we'll see you at the monitoring visit in April.
Yes, I have that on the calendar already. So.
Okay.
All right.
Hang in there.
Fantastic. Good evening.
Michael, here's your paper.